Hey everybody, I hope that you are having an amazing day. Welcome to Powerful Days with Manny Cabrera. We're looking to have a great time. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So good evening everyone. Welcome to Powerful Parents. I'm your host, Manny Cabrera. This is episode 3 of season 3. And I'm really excited to be here with you all. For those of you guys who don't know, my name is Manny Cabrera. I am the president and chief instructor here at Sidekicks Family Martial Arts Centers. We got locations in Fishhawk, where I am right now, in my office. This is kind of like our main headquarters. And then we also have a location in Wesley Chapel. And I help children and adults basically to become better versions of themselves. And we do it every day through our martial arts classes, fitness classes, and even self-defense, Krav Maga self-defense classes at our studios, and through awesome things like this Facebook Live right now, and even through podcasts and stuff like that. You're obviously watching this video because you're an awesome mom or dad who loves their kids and really wants the best for them. So I'm really glad that you're here as well. So tonight we have a really great topic. I'm going to give it a couple more seconds and then we're going to get right into it. Because we're talking tonight about parent tested systems that we can use to limit screen time. And this topic really almost doesn't even need an introduction. But this morning I was actually reading an article about parents that were actually checking their the article was from England, but I did a quick Google search and saw some more from around the country. But I was reading this article about parents who were actually checking their kids into rehab because of Fortnite addiction. And if you don't know, I'm sure you do. Fortnite is the massive multiplayer game where they get to play with other people, and there's levels, and you can get skins, which is like different types of people as your avatar, and it's just there's a lot involved, and it's a cool thing, But you heard me right. These parents felt like the entire gaming thing at their house had gotten so out of hand that their only resort was to seek out a professional treatment facility, basically in order to help their kids, because their gaming obsession had basically supplanted any other relationships that they might have, or any kind or even the basic tasks like making sure they get to school, take care of their relationships at home, or any other kind of stuff like that. Now, this is not going to be one of those technology is bad and our robot overlords are coming type of videos. But here's the thing: in 2018, soon to be 2019, kids are basically spending every day in front of a screen, from smartphones to tablets to gaming consoles to televisions. It's infiltrating, even at my house. Sometimes I find that I'm, on my phone and watching TV at the same time. And there's a lot of benefits to technology, but it's not something that we want to interfere with the greater good of our relationships or something like that. And you know what? I'm going through it actually with my kids too. Almost as soon as the day starts, you cue the whining. Can they watch TV? Can they play on their tablets? Can they play this game? Can they do that? And sometimes I will say yes, and they'll get to do it. But as soon as, we feel like, hey, the limit's reached, here comes the whining back as soon as you turn it off. And you know what? It extends even to when they come here to the office. I'm sure some of you guys know, my wife and I both work here in our martial arts studio, and we actually raise our children. We bring them right along with us. And even they're even begging me to watch TV right here in my office. And then, you know what? One of the things that I noticed is that sometimes when you turn the tablets off after a while, they turn into complete jerks. Complain about the food that we've cooked them or whatever else, and doing whatever they can just to get back in front of the tablet. And I know, basically if this plays out at my house, some of you out there, it may be playing out in your home too. And you know what? I gotta tell you, it's easy to let the tablet to manage their behavior in public, let them zombie out. Whether they're in the lobby here waiting for their brother or sister's martial arts class to start, or at a restaurant, so mom and dad can, get like 5 minutes where they're not refereeing some kind of argument between the children. In fact, a 2016 survey actually revealed that screen time is the number one cause of mom guilt. And a 2017 survey by the nonprofit Common Sense Media actually revealed that 70% of parents are concerned about the amount of time that their kids are spending on digital media. I mean, let's be real. Who hasn't, let the Netflix run a little long on Saturday morning just so that we can have like a proper cup of coffee or a conversation with our significant other who, we sometimes feel like ships passing in the morning on our way to work or at night right before it's time to go to bed. So like, what can we do? Because I know, just like we've got to get a handle on this before, we end up being the ones who are, carting our kids off to rehab for Fortnite addiction. I mean, there's many studies that are very real that are, showing that what it's doing in children's brains is the same kind of dopamine hit that, or other, receptor hits, as would for, very strong drugs like heroin or, things like that. And so according to Sierra Felucci of Common Sense Media, parents should actually start the whole thing by talking to their kids actually about balance, not just in terms of screens, but with everything, by helping them understand that too much of anything, even good things, even fun things like being on the tablet, can actually be bad for us all in the long run. So this way, when you say it's time to turn off the iPad, we have to have balance, you're speaking a language with them that they actually, understand, and it gives them what you need from them, But sometimes, we need more than just a chat. So here's what I got for you are 4 tested systems. And I can, you and I can actually put into place to, help set limits and boundaries, for our kids to use technology. So let's go ahead and start. So the first thing that we can do is we can actually set a schedule. Some parents actually choose to set specific daily duration and time for when their kids are allowed to play on the iPad or to watch TV or something like that. A lot of times this actually works best for younger kids who benefit more of a routine because like as they get a little bit older, it gets a little bit trickier because of the different activities that kids might be going to, like martial arts class. One article I actually read suggested that for that type of thing, you can actually use like a chip or a token system. So in this instance, you could give your kids 4 tokens. Each of them could represent, say, 15 minutes. And then the kids can cash them in whenever during the day, obviously fitting whatever you guys got going on. And it gives them a little bit of control, and you can actually help them to regulate themselves. The key to success for this one, though, obviously, and this is a recurring theme in a lot of our videos, is consistency. Everybody has great ideas, but consistency is always going to be the key. Because you know what? Kids are going to look for loopholes, and you need to help them to understand that, I only get this much per day, I only get X amount per day, and I don't negotiate. Because the minute you start negotiating, and the boundary disappears, and it goes back to being a free-for-all fight. So that's the number one. So you can, select specific, set a specific schedule, days, times, things like that. Second thing you can do is you could actually select binge days. So like you could consider like choosing a few days of the week in which TV or other tech is actually allowed. So for example, you could pick like Tuesday and Thursday and maybe sometimes Saturdays or just on the weekends. And on those days, Netflix shows, tablet, etc., those things are allowed. But on the other days, they know to not even ask. So they know that this is what's up, this is how we roll. Many families actually choose to have no screen time at all during the week, specifically because it can interfere with homework or bedtime. And then they allow a little bit more on the weekends, and even some families, let it go without any kind of limitations, The real key to success with this one is having other activities ready to distract from that tech. So especially if you're going to only allow tech on the weekends, line up those play dates, line up those activities, get some creative things, get some creative things involved, get them involved, you know what I mean? And you can actually brainstorm some ideas with them. So that way they're actually learning a great habit of, when they're bored, not to just default to a screen. So the third thing we can do is we can actually make them justify their use. Now, this isn't, meant to be one of those things where you're being combative with them, but this is really interesting because, like, whenever you ask your kids, whenever your kids ask to use a piece of technology, just ask them why. According to Matt Johnson of Media Smarts, which is in Canada, one of the most important things that we can actually do as parents to ensure that when our kids are using screens, they're using them for a reason, and that way they're not just turning to it out of a habit. It's not even that you're going to definitely say no if the reason is just to be entertained, but questions encourage your kids to think of other things that they can do on the device, like make a creative movie or play an active game like Dance Dance Revolution, or something like that might actually make you more inclined to say yes. This is actually usually really good for older kids, but it's never too early to talk to kids about what they want to get out of whatever it is that they're doing online. But the main key to this method, and this is one that sometimes that I even make a mistake of, is the main key to this is to be open to talking with your kids about what they like rather than demonizing it. You know what I mean? And if they want to play a game and get to the next level, ask them more about the game. They'll actually appreciate your interest in what they're doing, and it'll actually make them more likely to want to talk to you later about stuff that happens in their digital world that they may start to feel uncomfortable about, and they may be more inclined because you were understanding and you were interested in what it was that they were actually doing. Now, the last, system that you can put in place, the last thing that you can do is actually download a tracking app or put some parental controls on the device. There are tons of parental controls that track screen time or monitor the apps used and for how long that they are actually used. But before just arbitrarily issuing the limits, investigate and gather information on what makes sense for the time and app usage. This can actually be very useful for older kids who have their own devices. But if you choose to go this route, use them basically as a starting point for your conversation about healthy screen usage and balance, and not as a replacement for that. Get your kids to help in identifying what is reasonable. Otherwise, you're just pontificating and they're going to ultimately resent the entire thing. Really great thing about one of the devices that we allow our children to use, my wife and I, is it comes with those things built in, and we actually have it set up so that during the weekends they get a little bit more time, but they actually have a buy-in in order to be able to use anything of having to read. And so before they can do anything on the device, they have to do at least about 30 minutes of reading on the device of a book, which they have unlimited access to, and it's been a really, really cool thing. It's called Amazon Free Time, and I think it's a really great product. I'm not paid by them or anything like that. Experts agree, though, that while it might seem like a good idea to make your kids earn screen time with chores or good behavior, reward systems like that can actually backfire. So, that's why that's not one of the tips that I gave. And the reason why is because it's an external control that's manipulating their behavior, and you're not really getting them motivated towards healthy habits because now you kind of made screen time the forbidden fruit, you know what I mean? And it makes it more valuable to them, and they actually become more protective of it. And so they start to develop this kind of unhealthy relationship with, the screen stuff. Those are some pretty great systems. I hope that you enjoyed them. But before I go, here's something that I think that we should all is really great that we should all do right now, and that I learned when I was doing research for this topic today. If you're tired of the fact that Netflix automatically plays the next show when your kids are watching, you can actually make that stop. You can actually turn off that feature. You just go. So you got to log in the browser, like log in from your computer, and then under the Manage Profiles, you click on the kids' profile, and in the drop down, you can actually change the playback settings in their profile. So that's really one action tip that I think you could go to right now, is to turn off the automatic so that your kids don't get used to binge watching on Netflix. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you're not yet a member of our Parents of Active Kids in Tampa Bay Facebook group, I encourage you to check it out. I mean, just shoot me a PM and I'll actually hook you up with that link. And then, as always, this video has been sponsored by my martial arts school, Sidekicks, and we've probably got the best non-screened and screened activity for kids that they can get involved in. And if you're interested in more about that info, just stalk us right here on this Facebook page. So I hope you enjoyed this talk. My name is Manny Cabrera, and I believe that we're all in this together, and I hope that you found this video very useful, and I hope that you make it a powerful day, and I hope you enjoy some great times with your kids. Bye-bye.